Hi folks, this is a video on the Enochian Apocalypse Working or Enochian Magic. Um, as I was researching this stuff, um, I don't think I came across any Christian material at all dealing with this subject. Absolutely nothing. Apparently, this is a subject that is pretty much just entirely occultic. Christians are not only do they not deal with it, they don't have any knowledge of it at all. I really think that if you went into any really good church and you asked 100 good, solid Bible believing Christians anything about Enochian apocalypse working, Enochian magic type stuff, uh, you all you would get is 100 blank stares. Nobody knows anything about this stuff. Um, and this is a really crazy topic. Um, but this is something that Christians need to know about. This is something that you definitely don't want to dabble in this, but you need to know about it. Do you think that Elijah went up on, I think it was Mount Carmel, to have his showdown with prophets of Baal without knowing anything about Baal worship? You know, this is what our spiritual enemies are involved in. This is what they believe. This is what they're all about, and it does involve you. And you need to know this stuff. You need to have a little bit of a knowledge that this stuff is out there and sort of what it's about, and not in much depth at all, but just to know something a little bit. Um, and so that's what I'm going to try to do with this video here. But a few points. First of all, uh, this is a disclaimer, and I mean this as seriously as I can possibly state it. You do not want to look into this stuff very deeply at all. Um, don't go much beyond what you can find on Wikipedia um, or any kind of Christian websites if you can find anybody who deals with it. So really, don't go much beyond Wikipedia. Um, I did. I wish that I hadn't. When you look into this stuff, um, you may inadvertently open up a door into your life for something to come in that you don't want in your life. And I may have done that. As I was looking into this stuff, some strange things started happening in my life and the lives of some others around me. Some people got hurt physically, sometimes seriously. I had some health issues that I can't explain. Just a lot of stuff happened in a very short period of time. One of the things that I had done that I specifically do not recommend was I had clicked just for a few seconds an Aleister Crowley video that I won't tell you where I found online, but it's Aleister Crowley actually speaking this Enochian language and doing an Enochian call, and that is like a dog whistle for these very evil non-human entities. And when you do that, they come running. And people who work with this Enochian stuff, the people who are not Christians, occultics and stuff, they will tell you this stuff works. Nobody knows why it does, but this is pretty much guaranteed results. You can be a novice and dabble in this stuff, and things happen on the occultic level. Um, it's very, very powerful stuff. And I strongly suggest that nobody deals with this stuff. Even people who are in the occult handle this stuff very carefully. So this is, I can't overstate this. This is very serious stuff, and it needs to be left alone. Um, the other thing I want to tell you here is I'm intentionally not going to give you all that much information about this. I'm going to tell you what I think you need to know to kind of unpack 9/11 and to look at that correctly. Beyond that, I'm not really going to tell you much of anything else. I've learned a lot more about this that I'm just not even going to go into. Another thing that I'm not going to um, that I'm not going to claim is to be an expert on this stuff. I'm going to get some stuff wrong probably, but as far as I can tell, what I'm going to show you or what I'm going to tell you is basically it's pretty much factually correct. It's the real deal. Um, There may be some inaccuracies, and that's just due to the fact that this is such a huge topic. It's difficult to look into. It's dangerous to look into. And I just had to call it quits. I want to get this video done, finished. I want this crap out of my life. I want to move on. So anyway, let's get into this here. Now, the guys that you see here in this picture are John Dee on the right, Edward Kelly on the left. Edward Kelly was the guy who looked into the crystal ball. John Dee was the guy who basically wrote it all down. John Dee was an advisor to Queen Elizabeth of England around the year 1580 something. They did this stuff over a period of maybe around a decade or so. Queen Elizabeth was the daughter of Henry VIII, the guy with all the wives. That's how far back this stuff goes. After they did all of this, after they did all this Enochian revelation stuff through a crystal ball, nobody touched this stuff until the late 1800s when some other people and Aleister Crowley started fooling with it, but we'll get to that later. So here's what they did. They looked into a crystal ball, or Edward Kelly looked into a crystal ball, and these entities that identified themselves as angels delivered to them a bunch of stuff in a language called angelic. Today we call it Enochian. They called it angelic. This is an actual language. It's got grammar, vocabulary, syntax and stuff. You can actually hear people speaking it. People claim to read it and write it fluently. People in the occult don't go looking for examples of this to listen to. It's out there, but don't go looking for it. But this is just it's a collection of rituals. Now here's the upshot of what this is about. All right. Here's the deal. In our world, we are surrounded by, according to the angels here, we are surrounded by 4 watchtowers and with 4 angels, and within this, I guess, perimeter or whatever, protecting this world from the forces of Satan who are on the outside of it, there are, keeping them on the outside and us safe on the inside, there are 49 gates. All right. Now these angels gave them keys or calls. These two terms are used interchangeably and they mean the same thing, a key or a call. They gave them these keys or calls to ritualistically open 48 of the 49 gates. The 49th gate is a mystery. Dee and Kelly were not given that, and they were told that they could not have it. Now, Dee and Kelly did not ever do anything with this information. They never tried to use it. They never did any of these rituals, and it just sat totally unused until Aleister Crowley and his buddies came along in the late 1800s. Now, let's look at what all this stuff was about, the whole purpose and the point of it, and why we're even looking at this. All right, here we go. Now, let's see. I want to try to get this. All right, yeah. Try to get that address off the screen because I really don't even want to show it because this guy that did this write-up right here, and I'm showing you this because it seems like a good summary based on it's a summary of other stuff that I found in other places. I like the summary, so I'm using it. But this guy is a guy who claims to have actually found the 49th key, and he's done all of these rituals about 2 years ago. I have no idea who this is. His real name is not given, but I don't want to give anybody any ideas because he goes into quite a bit of detail. Now, here's his paragraph, though. I want to zero in on the beginning of the sentence about halfway through this top line here. Much of Tyson's claims about the result and true purpose of the working are speculative. This is some guy Tyson having a comment on Dee and Kelly. Anyway, however, his core argument is quite correct. In their divinatory communications with the mysterious Enochian angels, the Elizabethan magicians Dee and Kelly were given a means by which to magically trigger the apocalypse of revelation. This magical ritual centered around the consecutive opening of 49 gates of heaven. The means to do this was given to Dee and Kelly by a series of invocations known as calls. So, here's somebody who actually claims to have done all 49 calls and opened all 49 gates, he claims. And he's telling you a guy who does this stuff is telling you that the whole point of the whole thing is to magically trigger everything that you see in the Apocalypse of Revelation. That ought to scare the crap out of you. You know, here's another one. All right, this paragraph right here. This is from another source that I don't want to give away who or where it comes from. Dee's blindness to the true function of the keys is curious because clues about their nature are everywhere for those with eyes to see them. The Enochian communications are filled with apocalyptic pronouncements and imagery. Again and again, the angels warn of the coming destruction of the world by the wrath of God and the advent of the Antichrist. This apocalyptic imagery is also found throughout the keys themselves. So, here's the way I see it. The whole point of this entire Enochian apocalypse working is these 48 gates and 48 keys and gates and ethers and all of this stuff, this whole Enochian system of magic. The whole point of the entire thing is to bring about everything you read about in the book of Revelation, complete with an incarnate Antichrist, an Antichrist in a physical human body, incarnate. All right, that's the whole point of the whole thing. And what does this have to do with 9/11? Well, I've already covered all of the Aleister Crowley connections to 9/11. This is where Aleister Crowley gets his stuff. So with that in mind, I think I'm going to leave Aleister Crowley for the part B of this video because this is apparently getting too long for the YouTube limit on videos. I don't know how to upload anything over 15 minutes. So anyway, I'm not going to fool with it. I'll just cut this one short and I'll post a B version, a B follow-up on the video dealing with Crowley and Jack Parsons coming up next. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.